action towards. Understanding the concept of motivation, its importance in the behavior of an individual. This will give information about concept of motivation, the basic terms motives, needs, drives are being introduced. Human behavior is always decided by the reason behind his actions, which can also be understood as the motive behind action. Each and every action an individual does is determined by the motives. The importance of motivation, its classification, motivation, and behavior, aggression, the social cognition and its theories are all discussed in detail in this video. Motivation is the psychological process that arouses, directs, and maintains behavior toward a goal. The hunger motive, for example, normally arouses us to take action, directs us to find food, and makes us eat until our hunger subsides. In our surroundings, we see a lot of people, among them some are very successful and achieve a lot in life, whereas some people do not achieve anything. The difference between them is because of motivation. The people who are successful are highly motivated. Motivation gives an individual the energy, the drive, and the direction to reach a goal.
In psychology, motivation refers to the initiation, direction, intensity, and persistence of behavior. Motivation is a temporal and dynamic state that should not be confused with personality or emotion. Motivation is having the desire and willingness to do something. A motivated person can be reaching for a long-term goal, such as becoming a professional writer, or a more short-term goal, like learning how to spell a particular word. Motivation is a pivotal concept in most theories of learning. It is closely related to arousal, attention, anxiety, and feedback/reinforcement. For example, a person needs to be motivated enough to pay attention while learning. Anxiety can decrease our motivation to learn. Receiving a reward or feedback for an action usually increases the likelihood that the action will be repeated. Motivation influences many aspects of our life and helps explain different causes of behavior. It aids survival, accounts for variations in any individual's behavior, and guides our actions. Motivation operates in a cycle. Homeostasis involves maintaining various bodily processes within a narrow range of acceptability. Deviations from that norm lead to automatic, corrective actions. Human motives range from physiological motives, hunger and thirst, through mixed motives, which involve both physiological and learned aspects, pain and sex, to purely learned motives, achievement and fear. Meaning and definitions of motivations. The term motivation is used to understand or explain the why behind the behavior. It reflects three basic characteristics commonly associated with motivations. That is activation, persistence, and intensity. Activation is demonstrated by the initiation or production of behavior. Persistence is demonstrated by continued efforts or the determination to achieve a particular goal. Intensity is seen in the greater vigor of responding that usually accompanies motivated behavior. Motivation is closely tied to emotional processes. In psychology, the term motivation is often used to refer to the entire constellation of factors, some inside the organism and some outside, that cause an individual to behave in a particular way at a particular time. The definitions given by psychologists, which explain motivation clearly, are explained below. Motivation is internal state or condition that activates behavior and gives it direction. Motivation is the desire or want that energizes and directs goal-oriented behavior. Motivation is the one which influences needs and desires on the intensity and direction of behavior. Franken, 1994, provides an additional component in his definition: the arousal, direction, and persistence of behavior. Motivation is a reason or set of reasons for engaging in a particular behavior, especially human behavior as studied in psychology and neuropsychology. The reasons may include basic needs, example food, water, shelter, or an object, goal, state of being, or ideal that is desirable, which may or may not be viewed as positive, such as seeking a state of being in which pain is absent. The motivation for a behavior may also be attributed to less apparent reasons such as altruism or morality. According to Geen, 1995, motivation refers to the initiation, direction, intensity, and persistence of human behavior. Needs, drives, and motives. Needs, the behavior of an individual is the consequences of the internal needs and drives. The term need refers to a condition of lacking or deficiency of something that is essential for the survival, The deficiency may be food, water, and sex, etc. The need produces a physiological state which demands fulfillment or satisfaction. There will be a state of physiological and psychological imbalances within the individual. The need for food, water, etc., causes drives such as hunger, thirst, etc. They are the physiological states which induce the organism to action, which in turn leads to satisfaction. Thus, the need, deficiency, leads to drive, physiological state, which sets the organism to action. The appropriate action leads to satisfaction and restoration of physiological balance or equilibrium. This is known as drive reduction or need reduction. Need is a passive state which may not induce the organism into action, which leads to satisfaction, whereas drive is an active state which induces the organism to action, which leads to need satisfaction or drive reduction. These states are frequently experienced as feelings of tension, unpleasant and painful. The organism resorts to activity which leads to restoration of balance. Though drive is said to be an urge from within, which sets the organism into action to restore the balance lost by relieving tension, it has no direction. Motivation is something which makes the individual to act, or to carry out certain behavior which comes from within the individual. It may be because of the thoughts, feelings. 5. Emotions, reasoning, or any cognitive or emotional factors which makes the individual to carry out certain active behavior.
Importance of motivations. The concept motivation has gained a lot of importance in the field of psychology. Psychologists have done a number of studies on this, and till today still researches are going on to explore the importance of motivation. The human behavior can be understood completely only when we know the motivation behind that behavior. Motivation is involved in the performance of all learned responses. That is, a learned behavior will not occur unless it is energized. Whether motivation is a primary or secondary influence on behavior, that is, are changes in behavior better explained by principles of environmental ecological influences, perception, memory, cognitive development, emotion, explanatory style, or personality, or are concepts unique to motivation more pertinent? Motivation does two things. First, it activates behavior, or provides the energy for it. Second, it directs the activated behavior toward a goal. We need to find out what independent variables cause motivation to occur. And we need to see how our behavior changes when our motivation increases or decreases. It is obvious that there are many different causes of human behavior. Inherited mechanisms and learned responses. Yet even with inheritance and learning held constant, we still see differences in behavior. For instance, some Saturdays you go to a movie, other Saturdays you'd rather go to a dance. Some days you eat a sandwich in the afternoon and some days you do not. So your own behavior varies from time to time. In addition, your behavior differs from that of your friends, and also from that of your family. Motivation helps us to explain these variations in behavior both within individuals and among different people in the same situation. There are also a number of behaviors whose motivations help us survive, both individually and as a species. We seek food, and we try to 7. Avoid pain, to survive as individuals. We procreate to survive as a species. As we'll see, motivation. Motivation involves a very complex combination of internal stimuli, aches, pains, and urges, as well as many external cues. Lastly, when we talk about behavior being energized or started, we're really talking about guiding behavior. A fourth category of reasons why we need the concept of motivation includes the idea of efficiency. We can use weak stimuli to guide strong behaviors. And we can respond to other stimuli and stop behaviors that might cause us injury. Not all psychologists agree on the importance of motivation. For example, those who emphasize operant conditioning really are not concerned with internal processes, which motivation clearly is. Operant conditioners explain motivated behavior just on the basis of rewards. There are three important elements in all motivated behavior. The first element is the events that cause a need for the behavior to occur. These events may be inherited, learned, or a combination of both. The second important element is the internal result. This may be a drive or urge, a purpose, or a motive. These words are often used in place of one another, sometimes correctly, sometimes in error. A goal is the third important factor. This may sometimes be called an incentive. All three of these elements, a need, An internal result and a goal are combined in motivated behavior.
Nature of motivations. Motivation is the psychological process that arouses, directs, and maintains behavior toward a goal. The concept of motivation is useful in explaining fluctuation in behavior over time. Main sources of motivation include genes, drives, and incentives. A drive pushes you toward a goal, whereas an incentive is an external stimulus that pulls you toward a goal. 6. The study of motivation tries to explain why people do what they do. Motivation involves goal-directed behavior. Every individual has to strive for the satisfaction of his basic needs if he has to maintain and actualize or enhance himself in this world. The very basic of the why of behavior of an individual is what we call the motivation. Definitions. A need gives rise to one or more motives. A motive is a rather specific process which has been learned. It is directed towards a goal, Carroll. A motive may be defined as a readiness or disposition to respond in some ways and not others to a variety of situations, Rosen, Fox, and Gregory. A motive is an inclination or impulsion to action plus some degree of orientation or direction, Fisher. Motives. A motive is a force that determines the activities of an individual. It energizes and directs his behavior along this or that channel. It is the inner force which moves him to a certain action. When a motive is at work, it creates tension, and these tensions arouse the individual towards an activity that will relieve the tension. Motives in the broad sense of the word include needs, basic drives, interests, likes and dislikes, desires and attitudes, because all these move us to some action or the other. A motive is the force that initiates, sustains, and directs the activity of an organism. Activities of the man directly or indirectly concerned with the basic needs, which are essential for his survival, happiness, and pleasure. A motive means which moves. A motive may be considered as an energetic force of tendency working within the individual to compel, persuade, or inspire him to act for the satisfaction of his basic needs or attainment of some specific purpose. Motives can be seen in the form of various needs, desires, and aspirations of an individual. For more about motivation, please subscribe this channel. Don't forget to subscribe. We will be with you always to motivate you. Check further video for motivation. Thank you.